I've got to tell some stories and explain what it was like raising you two.
A Philly kind of a spin on it.
Okay.
It's called
You're in?
yeah, Christmas on Call.
So you've always made me proud.
Yeah.
You've always made me proud. And
When a stadium goes quiet, the noise doesn't end. It moves inward. For the Kelce family, silence was never peaceful. It was heavy, because football never warns you about what comes after. It never explains what happens when routine disappears, when identity loosens, when the role that shaped your entire life suddenly lets go. Jason and Travis Kelce became symbols of durability, consistency, strength. But symbols don't feel exhaustion. People do. This isn't a story about wins or losses. It's about cost. The emotional cost paid quietly. The pressure carried home. The strain placed on relationships that lived in football's shadow. When the era ends, what remains? Purpose? Uncertainty? Fear? That question waited patiently, long before anyone talked about retirement.
Girlfriend, now wife?
Jason, you really didn't bring a lot of ladies home.
Before we move on, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss any of our upcoming documentaries. The Kelce era didn't begin with fame. It began with expectation. From an early age, football shaped the family's rhythm. Schedules revolved around seasons. Conversations centered on preparation. Success demanded consistency. Consistency demanded sacrifice. Over time, sacrifice stopped feeling temporary. It became normal. Family life adapted around football's needs. Missed moments were justified by goals. Shortened patience excused by pressure. That trade-off worked while the rewards were visible. But football never explains the long-term weight of that balance. The Kelce household learned to live in motion. Always forward, always focused on what's next. Reflection was postponed, because reflection slows momentum, and momentum was everything. But nothing moves forever. Eventually, the pace changes. And when it does, silence fills the space effort once occupied.
I get a chuckle.
Okay.
Because I know he's doing it to make me laugh.
Success delayed confrontation. Winning always does. As long as performance stayed high, endings felt distant. Jason and Travis understood that better than most. Relevance creates momentum. Momentum creates protection. But protection fades quietly. Football careers don't announce their final chapter. They approach gradually, through recovery time, through conversations that change tone, through questions about longevity. The Kelce brothers felt those shifts. They didn't panic. They adapted. Adaptation postpones endings. It doesn't eliminate them. Family members noticed the change before headlines did. Less rest, more calculation. Every decision weighed against time. Football trained them to push limits. It didn't train them to imagine life without those limits. That imagination felt unfamiliar, and unfamiliar felt dangerous. So the future stayed unspoken, even as it moved closer.
Travis still calls you mommy?
It's kind of funny.
Football doesn't just demand effort. It organizes identity. Who you are becomes inseparable from what you do. For the Kelces, roles were clear. Leader, contributor, anchor. Those roles provided certainty. Without them, identity requires rebuilding. Rebuilding feels risky because it involves admitting the old structure won't last. Family dynamics absorb that tension. They feel the restlessness, the urgency to remain useful. Greatness doesn't turn off at home. It follows you. Jason and Travis carried responsibility everywhere. Not to slow down, not to disappoint, not to become ordinary. Football celebrates resilience. It rarely discusses what resilience costs the people closest to you. That cost doesn't arrive all at once. It accumulates, quietly, until silence forces acknowledgement.
It's all that mommy needs to know.
Okay.
This is between us, Jason.
The pressure wasn't about money or fame. It was about usefulness, being needed. Football gave daily proof of value. Teammates relied on them. Systems were built around them. That dependence felt validating. It also felt heavy. What happens when you're no longer essential? That question lingered beneath success, beneath praise, beneath accomplishment. Family life bent around football's demands. Plans shifted, priorities adjusted. Over time, those adjustments felt permanent, until football loosened its grip. Then everything felt unstable. Jason and Travis didn't discuss this publicly. They managed it privately, because football teaches control, not uncertainty, but uncertainty was unavoidable. And when the era ends, control fades first.
You have several redeeming qualities, Jason.
Oh my gosh, Mom, don't go on, Dad.
As the years passed, the pressure changed shape. It wasn't about proving ability anymore. It was about timing, when to continue, when to stop, stay too long, and decline defines you. Leave too early, and questions follow. That balance offers no comfort. Jason and Travis felt it every offseason, every evaluation of their bodies, every conversation about longevity. Longevity sounds positive, but it implies an ending is approaching. Endings bring uncertainty. Uncertainty brings fear. Football prepares you for contact. It doesn't prepare you for letting go. Family members feel that tension first. They live with the emotional consequences. The Kelce era carried pride. It also carried weight, and that weight grew heavier as time passed.
Oh, jeez, it's funny.
You're the second born, Travis.
Love you both.
Recognition complicated everything. Success made walking away harder. When you're still effective, stopping feels irresponsible. Jason and Travis understood how rare relevance is. They knew how quickly it disappears. Walking away requires certainty. Certainty doesn't exist in football, only risk. They watched former players struggle after retirement, not financially, emotionally, because identity doesn't retire cleanly. It lingers. Family members witness that struggle firsthand. The searching, the quiet comparison to the past. Football provides community. Removing it creates distance. Distance must be replaced intentionally. That process is uncomfortable. Staying feels safer than starting over, but staying carries its own cost. And the Kelces understood there was no option without consequence.
I mean, I was always
You
just
were
right
always
around the
escaping.
corner.
You were escaping. You were lost to us.
I knew it.
The body noticed before the mind admitted. Recovery took longer. Preparation became more calculated. Every ache raised questions. Temporary or permanent? Football never answers clearly. It negotiates. Push now, pay later. That equation affects more than the athlete. Family absorbs the aftermath. Energy shifts. Patience shortens. Emotional bandwidth narrows. Jason and Travis respected their bodies. But respect doesn't remove consequence. It delays it. The league moves forward without hesitation. Loyalty favors availability. That reality isn't cruel. It's practical. Still, stepping outside that system felt unsettling. Because systems provide belonging. Without them, belonging must be rebuilt from the ground up.
Jason did it because he wasn't paying attention. Travis did it on purpose to escape.
I was
Off-seasons grew quieter. Fewer meetings. Less urgency. More time to think. Jason and Travis filled that time carefully. Training. Projects. Anything to avoid stillness. Stillness invites reflection. Reflection invites difficult truths. Athletes are trained to endure, not to transition. Transition requires honesty. Honesty demands vulnerability. Vulnerability isn't rewarded in professional sports, but it's necessary beyond them. The Kelces asked private questions. What replaces competition? What replaces routine? What replaces identity? Those questions didn't demand immediate answers. They waited, in late nights, in quiet rooms, where the stadium noise could no longer drown them out.
terrified.
Yeah, you
That's
were
what-
like
that's the excitement of it.
like Peter Pan's Lost Boys.
Football doesn't teach endings. It teaches extension. Train harder, recover faster, delay reality. Jason and Travis lived that mindset. It worked until it didn't. The fear wasn't dramatic. It was persistent. The fear of becoming background noise, of being remembered but no longer needed. That fear doesn't push athletes away. It pulls them closer, sometimes longer than is healthy. Leaving feels like loss. Loss of relevance, loss of structure, loss of community. Football had shaped their lives for decades. Walking away meant starting over emotionally. Starting over is uncomfortable when excellence defined you. The Kelce era wasn't ending yet. But the cost of prolonging it was becoming clear.
Heck, I took you into daycare and you said that your father cut you with a knife.
The breaking point wasn't collapse. It was clarity. Jason and Travis realized the fear wouldn't disappear. Ignoring it made it heavier. Football had protected them from certain questions. Who am I without performance? What do I offer without competition? Those questions require honesty. Honesty demands vulnerability. They didn't announce this realization. They absorbed it quietly. Let it reshape how they viewed the future. Fear didn't mean weakness. It meant awareness. Awareness is uncomfortable, but necessary. The silence after football wouldn't be empty. It would be filled with whatever they carried into it. That realization changed everything. Because fear acknowledged becomes manageable. Fear avoided becomes defining.
Oh, both you guys would put a towel around your shoulders. You put a chip clip right here.
Acceptance didn't mean surrender. It meant preparation of a different kind. Beyond schedules. Beyond roles. Purpose outside football isn't assigned. It must be chosen. That responsibility is intimidating. Freedom removes excuses. It exposes uncertainty. They understood many athletes struggle because no one teaches them how to be ordinary again. Ordinary feels unfamiliar after excellence. But unfamiliar doesn't mean inferior. It means different. Learning to accept that difference required patience. The silence ahead wasn't something to fear. It was something to prepare for. Emotionally, mentally, existentially, football trained their bodies relentlessly. Life beyond it required training the self.
Dad was in Mexico because he had just slit Travis's throat. He's like, I gotta get the fuck out of Dodge.
Legacy changed meaning. Not records, not accolades, but sustainability. Jason and Travis wanted life after football to feel intentional, not accidental. Chasing noise to replace, noise held no appeal. That realization shifted priorities. Success wasn't just what they accomplished. It was how they transitioned. The fear of silence softened. It became something to face. Facing it required humility, a trait rarely celebrated in elite sports. They valued balance over intensity, reflection over reaction. That change didn't happen suddenly. It evolved slowly. As meaningful changes do, the stadium would go quiet someday. That was inevitable. The question was whether they were ready for it.
So he couldn't have done
Because
it. So they
Dad
were
never
looking
showed
at
me enough attention. He only cared about Jason.
The hardest part wasn't leaving football. It was trusting life afterward could still feel meaningful. Performance had defined worth for decades. Without that metric, identity felt undefined. Separating who they were from what they did required work. Purpose doesn't require applause, but it requires intention. Intention demande clarité. Clarity demands silence. The very thing they once avoided. Silence stopped feeling threatening. It became informative. It revealed values beyond competition. Connection, presence, contribution. Those values existed before football. They would exist after. Fear transformed. From obstacle to guide, pointing toward growth beyond the game.
Bahamas I've been to Dominican Republic, although
Pressure taught discipline. Fear taught awareness. Both were necessary. One without the other is incomplete. Life after football wouldn't replicate the game's intensity, and that was acceptable. Intensity isn't the only path to fulfillment. Depth matters. Depth requires slowing down. Slowing down requires trust. Trust that value doesn't disappear when the spotlight fades. Jason and Travis began preparing emotionally, not just physically, releasing versions of themselves tied solely to performance. That release wasn't loss. It was evolution. The fear of quiet became opportunity. Opportunity to build something lasting beyond football. Endings didn't have to be abrupt. They could be intentional.
it's slow. I've been taking it a little easy, but going on a few trips here and there, so that's kind of fun.
When the Kelce era ends, life continues. That truth became grounding. Football didn't erase their experiences. It reframed them. Discipline, resilience, perspective, those carried forward. Fear became manageable through understanding. Understanding reduced uncertainty. They approached the future with seriousness, with humility, with patience. The silence ahead wasn't a void. It was space. space to define purpose independently. That choice changed how they view the end, not as disappearance, but transition. Transition requires quiet courage, the kind not celebrated publicly, but essential privately. The end of an era didn't mean identity loss. It meant expansion.
So we ended up in St. Martin,
Sounds like
St.
a good
Thomas,
thing.
which is much better.
Strife?
St. Thomas, yeah, they
Transition requires releasing certainty. Football always provided it. Schedules, roles, expectations. Without them, life felt open-ended. Open-ended can be intimidating, but liberating. They stopped measuring days by performance alone. They measured them by presence, by contribution, by connection. Legacy isn't sustained by visibility. It's sustained by impact. Impact shifts when careers end. It doesn't disappear. The most meaningful chapters often come later. Quieter, more personal. The stadium going quiet didn't end the story. It returned ownership of it, and that ownership brought peace.
to go to Haiti, but they had to redirect us because they were having some civil strife. So
The greatest fear wasn't loneliness. It was disconnection from purpose. Purpose must be cultivated intentionally after football. It doesn't arrive automatically. Taking responsibility reduced fear. They didn't need to replicate the game. They needed to evolve beyond it. Evolution requires courage. Courage shows up quietly, in daily decisions. Fulfillment doesn't require validation. It requires alignment. Alignment takes time, but it lasts. The silence after football wasn't something to escape. It was something to inhabit thoughtfully. Doing so ensured the end of one chapter didn't define the next. Football prepared them for pressure. Life beyond it prepared them for meaning.
first, where are we going? You know, what island are we at? We didn't know.
This fear isn't unique to the Kelces. It belongs to anyone whose identity is performance-based. Athletes, profissionals, caregivers, anyone whose worth feels tied to usefulness. Football simply amplified the question, what happens when the role ends? Their story shows fear doesn't equal failure. It signals transition. Transition requires honesty. Honesty requires courage. Strength isn't avoiding uncertainty. It's facing it without running. The stadium goes quiet for everyone eventually. Careers end. Roles change. Identities evolve. Preparation determines how we live afterward. The Kelce story isn't about avoiding silence. It's about learning to live well within it.
Militias. Those are called militias.
No, these were actual. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
When the Kelce era ends, the real work begins. Not proving, not performing, but understanding. Football never warned them about this part, but it prepared them more than they realized. This isn't a story about retirement. It's about transition, about facing silence instead of fearing it. If this story resonated, it's because we all face moments when the noise fades and questions rise. Share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think is hardest about life after purpose shifts? And if you value stories that explore the human cost behind greatness, subscribe. Because what happens after the applause often matters more than what came before.
We had to bail and go to St. Thomas, but I'm much rather be there
Sometimes you just
anyway.
gotta.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss any of our upcoming documentaries.